Yes, 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 my friends. This is Eric Green, aka the Digital Gangster, and I'm actually coming from my spot. I love to do Google Hangouts with here in the kitchen. I see my guest Robert over here. It looks like you're in your office, Robert, and
Yep.
I'm digging the hat today, man. But everybody, I'm excited about today's. I'm close to being there with you. I'm super excited about the hangout today with Robert. You know, Robert is someone who has been in this industry for 32 years. And I know you've done just about everything in this industry, Robert, from building large teams to consulting MLM companies to offline and online marketing. You've probably seen just about everything that there is to see. But for those viewers that may be on checking out the Hangout, would you just take a few minutes and sort of share your background and what you traveled here over the last 32 years?
Hey, you bet, Eric. I appreciate the invite today, and want to try to deliver as much value as I can in this small amount of time that we have together. Real quickly, I just turned 51 this month. I've been in network marketing and marketing since I was age 18. My parents had a printing company, so and we had 300 employees. Worked 7 days a week, 3 shifts. It was one of those type of plants. So I kind of grew up in direct mail. This was way before. It's back in 78, 79, 80. Before the internet. Before the phones were in a big bag. Back
Right.
then. So everything had to be person to person, or we had to mail somebody something. So I became the direct mail expert. I went to copywriting clinics. I went to design clinics. I know how to design stuff on Macintosh computers and all that stuff. So when all of that came to fruition after I went to college to come back to take over the family printing business, Dad said, go run a printing press. And here I was with a college degree in management, had a minor in accounting, and I'm running a printing press for $10 an hour. And so, and I gladly did it at the beginning, Eric, because I said, okay, I gotta pay my dues. But as I sat there on those printing presses, because we'd set up a job and it would run for 3 days on these web presses. So once you get it set up, you had ink, you had water, you had paper, and you're sitting there like this the whole time. So I'm reading, and I'm going through magazines. I'm answering every ad in the back of a success entrepreneur magazine, income opportunities. This was back when you had to do the self-addressed stamped envelope. You'd fill it out and you'd send them an envelope with the stamp already on it. They would remail you back their offer for $10. And so I just became a master at marketing. And along those lines, I ran into a company that was in network marketing. And I'd been exposed to Amway, had already been in it, had been in Excel, and I just didn't want to do it because I worked 10 hours a day at my dad's plant. I could never go to the meetings. And
Right.
all of my friends worked at the plant. I knew they didn't have any money, and they didn't want to go to meetings. They wanted to go grab a beer after work. And so I found myself doing direct mail for network marketing to begin with, because that was what I felt would get me out of the printing company. And then after that, the internet came on board, and I applied all the direct mail principles to the internet, and just met a myriad of people all over the world that we were able to joint venture with. Everyone was always looking to me to write the ad copy. So
Right.
because of that, I got behind the scenes, and I had to find out what's in the product. How much does the product cost? How many units do you have to do? And I got exposed in boardrooms to stuff that this little kid from Oklahoma was like going, wow. I didn't know that. It was like, the emperor has no clothes. We remove the veil from
Right.
all the mysteries, and I know how the magic trick works. I know how you saw the girl in half now. And so then I go, wow, I can make a career out of this. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 32 years, is just applying true basic principles of marketing within the network marketing profession.
Let's talk about that. I really want, with this hangout, I really want to tap into your wisdom and experience. Because there's, as you know, I love the internet, but the internet can be a very confusing place to a lot of people who are trying to enter into direct sales, and they're taken in so many different directions. And obviously, the goal in many cases is to sell them information. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is there's so many people out here selling information on how to build a direct sales business, and they themselves have never really built a network or really understand the dynamics. But if I'm brand new with you, Robert, and I'm sitting down with you, and my question to you is, I'm a sharp guy, I'm an intelligent guy, I don't know anything about direct sales. I don't know anything about network marketing, but it intrigues me. It appears I have friends and people that I know that have done very well in the industry. I know you've done very well. Where do I need to sort of start based on how do I need to look at this whole endeavor, and what sort of basic fundamentals do I need to focus on to really start this business off right and get off the ground?
That's a great question. You know, in today's environment, there's two different markets. There's affiliate marketing or internet marketing, and then there's network marketing. And I think, you know, and I want to talk about network marketing to begin with, because I'm a big believer that everybody already, no matter what age you already have all the skill sets you need to be successful in network marketing. And I'll just give you a quick story to kind of set up the scenario. When my wife Sherry and I got married over 12 years ago, there was a place in Norman called Danny's Steakhouse. And what was cool about Danny's is that they would pick up 4 couples a night in their limo to bring them to the steakhouse for a date night. And they'd have a glass of champagne in there or wine or whatever drink you want. They'd drive you around town. You go eat. You'd get a dessert. They'd give you another bottle of champagne that you could take back in the limo, and you drive around town again. And so that's where I asked Sherry to marry me. I got down on one knee at the restaurant. She said yes, passed her the ring, and everybody clapped. And we got like 4 bottles of wine and champagne from all the other guests. So obviously that was a fantastic night for me. And it's something, if I close my eyes right now, I can remember everything. So about a year after that, I was at a gas station here in Norman and just sitting there pumping my gas like a normal person. And a guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, are you from around here?" And I go, "Yeah, I've been in Norman almost all my life." He goes, "My wife and I just moved here last week, and tonight is our 1st-year anniversary. Where can I take her?" Well, of course, where do you think I'd recommend? I go, Danny's Steakhouse. And he said, okay, so I told him about the experience that we had. I had a business card of Danny's in my pocket because I knew him. I gave it to him, and he called him right there. He booked an appointment right there with the limo. They were going to pick him up at their apartment. His wife came out of the car. She hugged me, and off they went. So that is the purest form of referrals, of we're giving a referral to someone. Now, here's what I didn't do. I didn't worry about my script. I didn't worry about whether they were vegetarians or not. I didn't say, well, it's pretty expensive there. How much money do you got? I didn't worry about any of that stuff. I was concerned that if he wanted a good time, go here. Whether he went there or not, I didn't really care. I mean, I hoped he did. And so that's where you have to start as a foundation, as a network marketer. And we've convoluted that to where, everything's got to overcome objections. He says this, you say that. But the truest sense, Amway did almost $12 billion last year. And there's no Google, there's no Twitter, there's no Facebook, there's no squeeze pages, there's no funded proposals for them, there's no webinars for them. How did they do it? They did it like the Danny's presentation, the Danny's Steakhouse. So that's right there where everybody starts. And how I treat it differently is that I have everybody mail their family and friends a letter. So we write a letter, and we basically say this: "Hey, Eric, if I was mailing you a letter and you're friends with me, the letter would say this: Hey, Eric, I just wanted to let the purpose of this letter let all my family and friends know that Sherry and I have just started a business. I want you to do me a favor. Can you watch this video and tell me who I should talk to? I'm looking for sharp, ambitious people. I have no idea if you'd be interested, but I thought about you. So watch the video. I'm going to call you tomorrow and tell me who I should talk to." And so with that premise of mailing out 100 letters, with that premise, what we get to do is we get to expose our business. The biggest challenge in network marketing today is nobody's exposing it to the right kind of people out of the gate. In your warm market, I call that your relationship equity. And for those that are watching this, write those 2 words down: relationship equity. Eric, you've got people that you know that I don't know. That if I picked up the phone and called them cold, they go, "Who are you? Why are you calling me?" "No, I'm not interested." But if you call them and say, "Hey, meet me down at Buffalo Wild Wings, I got to show you something," they go, "Sure, what time?" So that's the advantage, that you've got to take care of that. You've got to get through that to begin with, and you do that with the letters. If you know 300 people, mail out 100 letters a month. That's 5 a day, 25 a week for the next 3 months. Out of those 300, you're going to sign up 15, 20, 30 people, either as customers or distributors, because of your approach. I'm looking for sharp, ambitious people, Eric. I naturally thought of you. I have no idea if you'd be interested or not, but I know you know the right kind of people who would be. would you do me a favor? Watch this video. Tell me who I should talk to. And with that approach, you save your friendships, you save your relationships, whether somebody's a bank president or somebody's a janitor. You know, you now approach them. I've complimented you. I naturally thought of you. I got you off the hook. I have no idea if you'd be interested or not, but I know you know the right kind of people. So every one of your friends will watch a video and give you a recommendation. And if it's a health product or a weight loss product, you can say, look, you know, everybody you know is in great health. Everybody you know is a millionaire. I mean, come on, you know, give me a couple people. You've got an aunt somewhere. You've got a coworker somewhere that could use this stuff. Come on, Sherry and I are really excited. Just give me some people who could probably try our product. And so that's the basic premise of network marketing, and to me, in the purest form, and why companies like Amway, Avon, Herbalife just do so well, and their workforce will never do what you and I do because they don't have to. That they haven't searched it. They like that process. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that like to go to church, but they don't. You know, but they stay home and they're still Christians. Okay, I still think that I'm going to go to heaven even though I don't go to church every Sunday. But there's people that love church. Every time the doors open, then I'm going, God, we got to go again. You know, and so the same way about more marketing. So I believe that how we communicate with one another has dramatically improved and changed. But we're still communicating with the same type of entity, and that's people. And people will give recommendations and refer to people that they already know.
I think you've dropped a couple massive golden nuggets there. Number one, obviously, and I've learned this too, is working through people instead of at people.
Right.
And that makes a huge difference in the entire equation. The other thing that's really immediately the light bulbs are going is, you know, guys like me and a lot of guys out there, you know, they would say, okay, I have this warm market situation, so let me just draft up an email and shoot over an email. But at the end of the day, and I'm sitting thinking, now I have some social proof with some of the programs that I'm in, I sit and think, wow, imagine a handwritten, maybe I could just copy it 100 times or whatever, but a handwritten letter, personal letter, and then maybe a picture with me and the family with some results and say, hey, here's what I found. God, that would just be, I know that would convert like crazy, and really nobody's doing that. I don't see, I haven't got a letter. If I got a letter in the mail right now from a friend and it had a postage stamp on it, I would 100% open it up, look at it, and I can name several friends right now. If they sent me an email, I probably wouldn't ever even open the email.
Well, yeah, and of course,
you know
there's going to be people in your sphere of influence. You know, when you go to make your name, you know, the old traditional make your list of names. And what happens, people start making that list and they go, oh, well, I'm not going to call him now because of this, or I'm not going to do this. So you start excluding those golden nuggets.
Right.
It'd be like you getting, you know, 10 leads today from Google, and they come into your inbox, and you go, I'm only going to talk to people that are in North Carolina. Okay, I mean, could you imagine doing that with your online business? You go, I only want to work with people in North Carolina because that's the only kind of people I like.
Right.
Okay, so there will be people that, like, for you and I, you know, if I picked up the phone and called you because we have a relationship, it would be, if I mailed you a letter, you'd probably go, dude, why'd you mail me a letter? Just call me. Okay, so you'll have a small percentage of those people, but I guarantee you, if you would mail a letter to everybody, it changes the whole dynamics. Because when I walk down to my mailbox, and here I got a letter right here, and I got this letter, what do I have to do with it before I throw it away? I got to read it. I don't have to listen to your voicemail, and I don't have to call you back. I don't have to read your email. I can skim down through your email and go, I'll get to that later, and you never do. Oh, I'll watch that video now. But see, if I've got this letter, then now I'm saying subconsciously, well, this thing wouldn't be working for Eric because I know I wouldn't spend the time, the printing, and the postage to mail out something that was bombing. Okay?
Love it.
So I'm not talking about renting a list and mailing 10,000 people. I'm talking about your 100 to 300 core relationship equity people. That is like, and this is the analogy, if you don't do that, that's like having $1 million CD at your bank that earns no interest. Okay? So you have to take care of that, and that's what the biggest challenge in today's digital market is. People go, I just want to do it online. I go, great, do both. Do both.
Do both. Well, and that's a great way obviously you bring a new prospect in. A lot of times, you and I have been around for a little while. It's not a big deal for us to get on the phone, but it is a terrifying situation for somebody who's never ever had to do that. So, in most cases, I look at that and I go, a lot of those distributors, you really get sort of that you don't get much work out of. We're trying to help them, but so hey, how about this? I mean, I would even be willing, in some cases, to invest as that's a small portion for the stamps to get to that 100 to 300 people that individual. I mean, that's there you go. So now you've given me another
that's right,
great idea.
Another nugget to do, or even do this. Say, look, I'll mail the letters if you just if you PayPal me the postage.
Bingo.
I'll meet you halfway. I'll print out the letters. You give me the names. I'll mail them out. I know you're at work. I know you're busy, but give me $40. Give me $20. And we'll meet you halfway. Now, the key when I was in Amway years ago, here's what they did. This is how they penetrated the market. And in real estate, we talk about location, location, location. In network marketing, it's exposure, exposure, exposure. Most businesses today, Eric, are dead in the water because they're unexposed. They're thinking about their business, but they're not exposing it. And they're prejudging everyone. So in Amway, here's what we do. Every Monday night was team calling. We would sit here and make our list, and my hand would be shaking, and I go, here. And he'd make the calls, and oh, that guy, and then they go, yeah, I'd like to meet with you. And I'd be going, well, I talked to him last week about it, and he said he's not interested. But my upline would go through and call everybody's names. So we'd all sit around a table. We had coffee and cookies, and the upline sat there on the phone and go, hey, Eric, my name is Robert. You don't know me? But Darren Little is sitting right here with me right now, and I'm looking for some sharp people in Norman, and Darren says that you're the guy to talk to. And you'd be going, Darren? I go, yeah, he's right here. Darren, here, get on the phone. We put it on speakerphone. And so I would help my team expose to their list because I knew they wouldn't do it. That's their secret. And so we take that secret, but we put it in the form of a letter to help those people out. And I'm going to tell you what, it'll be amazing what happens to your business.
I was talking to a guy a couple of weeks ago. This sort of blew me away, and it sort of segues into what we're talking about. This guy's making maybe roughly about $75,000 a month on the internet, right? And so I'm going to be buying some of his traffic and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I get in a conversation and I say, look, man, what are you doing, man? What's going on? Give me something here. And he said, Eric, and he pulls up this join me meeting. He says, hey, let me show you something. And he pulls this up and he's got this really nice sales letter written out. And he says, here's what I'm doing. He says, basically, I've got people all over the country, and what they do is they print this letter out, they put this in a FedEx envelope, because he's targeting small business owners, and then I teach them to go out and drop between 5 and 10 of these off a day to local business owners. He has sort of software you can pull up whoever the business owner is and that sort of thing, going after dentists and all this other sort of stuff. And so they walk in, they put this FedEx envelope in with this letter in it addressed to the owner, and of course that's going to get back to him. He looks at this letter, and then it basically talks about the economy, the copy's good, and then it leads them to basically a video where at that point, if they watch, then they get brought to a webinar where they're actually closed. And I said, man, that's interesting. I said, you drive all this traffic, you do solo ads and all these other things. He said, yes, but this is the most effective marketing that I do, and it's how I generate a bulk of the income. And I thought, man, wow. You know what I mean? It's just there's so much opportunity out there with this avenue, and I think that people they're just so dialed into the net,
Sure.
and being taken there, and it's great.
Yeah,
but man, you're right. How much gold is out there right around them that they're missing out on? And
they're
this
just
is simple
walking
stuff.
right past it. They're walking right past it, and you're prejudging yourself into a broke situation. So let the letter be your salesperson. Let the letter break the ice when you mail it to them, and then when you make your follow-up phone call, I'm going to say, hey, Eric, this is Robert. Did you get my letter? And you're going to go, yeah, I did. I got that on Monday. And I go, look, I know it's Thursday. Have you had a chance to watch that video yet? Right. And if you say, no, man, I'm in so busy, say, look, we're really excited about this. I need to get some referrals from you. could you watch that video and tell me who I need to talk to? And can I call you back tonight about 9 o'clock? Okay, so then, see, I'm funneling you to go watch it for me.
Yes.
And then if you go, yeah, I have watched it. And so here's what happens. Here's what really happens. You'll go, yeah, I've watched it. And I'll go, well, who do you think I should talk to? About half the time, you're going to go, well, what about me? Is this something I could do? Oh, well, I did. Okay, well, sure. I mean, I didn't want to presume that you would be interested. I know you're a vice president at the bank. I know you're busy. And then you're going to go, yeah, and we're into debt up to our eyeballs. We've been looking for something like this on Google. So if you're doing it, I want to see what you're doing. So see, that's the way you break the ice locally, and how then you transcend that to the internet, whether you're co-opting or you're doing things online, Facebooking, whatever you're doing, then you get those people exposed to those tools. So now more than ever, Eric, you have to know, if you're going to be a top leader making 50, 100,000 a month, you've got to have this framework right here of warm marketing module, direct mail module, sample module, meeting module, webinars, or you got to have people that you can plug them into in your upline that will say, hey, look, this guy's a Google AdWord expert. Great, I'm going to hook you up with Eric. Okay, and then you go run with it. So now we've got these little subdivisions in our network marketing business where before it was just one way or the highway. And so people are so scared of warm marketing that they're avoiding it like the plague. But that's the actual groundwork of where you can go build $1 million business.
Well, I look at it like this. My mind's thinking all these social media guys out here that I know, and I'm thinking, look, and I actually worked for Pitney Bowes for 8 years. That was my job. So I know a little bit about that world. But I'm thinking like, wow, like what a unique spin to get together with a third-party mail house or something like that that's going to do all that for you, but be able to basically send them in a CSV file or whatever, names and addresses, but have this sort of co-op or this sort of marketing available to your organization and the people that are coming in. That's powerful, man. And Ashley, I know you're taking notes here. I want to look into all this stuff because I want to get this going. But let's talk about that, because you talked about a framework. I think, when people come into network marketing, okay, I'm excited and I've seen some social proof, and yeah, these guys are living great. But at the end of the day, you're buying into a business. You get your kid in, whatever it is you're doing. Talk a little bit about the mindset of because I want people, when I'm talking to people, I say you need to get into the mindset of creating a budget right out of the gate for marketing. Right out of this is a business, and yes, we're gonna you have the warm market, but you have to become a marketer in this business. I mean, everyone that I've met that has made it to the top levels, they've all become really talented marketers. Talk a little bit about that mindset and why it's so important to start diving into that from Jump Street.
Sure. And I think the premise is that we need to look at the masses fail at every method. Okay, and I think that's very important for people to write down. The masses fail at every method. They failed in warm marketing. They failed with internet marketing. They failed with generating their own leads. Most of my successes came out of a failure. So the number one mindset you have to have is that you got to go for it. You've got to go down this road to buy a course that you can't afford. Don't pay your mortgage to go to the convention, because there's going to be one nugget or something that's going to take you, and it's a ladder. All these things are ladders to get to the road to El Dorado. And the way I look at it, the road to El Dorado is way the heck up there, and I've got to climb out of it. And that's book after book after webinar after webinar. And yes, you can get information overload, but ultimately the masses fail at every method because they quit. If I would have quit back in my Amway days, I'd still be at that plant making $40,000 a year with a bad back. I mean, that's just it. I mean, what happened is that I caught on fire, realizing that the mindset was this, that I had to find something I was passionate about, and I had to believe in it, whether anybody believed in it or not, my friends. So my story is I became a direct mail expert to build network marketing because that was my passion, because I had free paper and free ink. All I had to do was send out post-its. So can you imagine, every day I was doing another 1,000 flyers. Let's change this headline. Let's change the price from $39 down to $19.95. And so I had all this big spreadsheet of just testing everything. That was my passion. And as long as I broke even on the front end of these mailings, Eric, then I would make the residual starting with the second month. And so, but I had a budget. I set a budget every week to what I was going to spend, and the mindset was very simple. I knew Social Security was going to pay me about $1,000 a month in 40 years because I researched that. And I go, you know what? What if I just spent a couple hours a week and I matched Social Security? I wrote my own form of Social Security. So see, then I relax and I go, I don't have to make it in 30 days. I don't care if none of my family or friends get in. They're all going to die broke at $1,000 a month with Social Security. I'm not going to do that. Right. I'm going to be a step ahead. So see, I took pride in the fact that I was just whittling it down. I was going every day. I was going, okay, I got rid of that idea, rid of that one, and I was going to find it, and I did. And within a year, I went from my first 4 years of network marketing, I never made more than $1,000. And I had been in 6 programs in 4 years because I was jumping, I was looking, I was antsy, I wouldn't listen to anyone. Then that 5th year, I went from $1,000 a month to $8,000 a month because I just got after it. I called 50 people a day. I mailed 50 people a day. And I was just a bulldog looking for people. I was looking for other Robert Blackmans because I didn't want to die broke. I didn't want to. I knew I couldn't live on $1,000 a month, so I had to get to $10,000 a month, and that's how I did it. So to me, the mindset was very simple: get a budget, whatever. If it's $50 a month, and this is your own form of Social Security. And if you don't think that, then you have to change your dynamic because they take a little bit out of your check every pay period, and so you have to do the same thing for your own check that you're going to write. So that was the mindset that I had out of the gate.
Yeah, I love the analogy to the road to El Dorado, man. I think people, you know, I'm 5 years online, but 10 years around network marketing. So, but that was my journey online, man. It was, and I always tell people, I'm like, look, you have no idea, you know, you have to be consistent, and you have to, I'll say get your ass kicked, but you really do have to get your ass kicked on a regular basis, because what happens is if you don't quit, you know, either that golden nugget, or typically it's a mentor, somebody that comes into your life, because, and this is a little tip for everybody, you know, you want to get a Robert Blackman's attention, you want to get some of these leaders' attention, then be somebody out there who's consistent, you know, working hard and not quitting, and these types of individuals will come into your world and completely just shift you. You know, when I met Darren, I remember him telling me, he's like, man, you're rocking, but it's like a radio. I just want to tune you just a little bit and give you a few things that you may not be aware of, and let's see what happens. Right. And he did that, and boom, things started to shift. That was more from a mindset perspective. But, you know, that's what I don't think, you know, people need to understand that from the get-go. And I love the fact that you had just a really simple $1,000, not looking at the $100,000 check, but here's an attainable goal that means something to me. Let's focus on that, and let's get after that, and from there we'll build forward. I think that's another thing that hurts sometimes in the world of the net is, and yes, we need to talk about all these wonderful things going on, and I love to hear about the story with the guy in 9 months that all of a sudden blew up. But there's always a story behind the story, and that same guy may have been struggling for 10, 12 years in the industry. And, you know, came into a program or connected with the right person or whatever the case is, and finally had that success. But I think people really need to understand that. I think there's a lot of people out there that get discouraged, and the worst thing you can do is just try to compare yourself to other people, man. You gotta be kind of dialed into your own world, have your own sort of goals, and then just try to connect with positive people, and just get after. You got to work, man. That's the other thing. Well, it's not a free ride, man. It's not a free ride.
I know, and I think right now, like when I first started, I ran an ad that says, make money mailing postcards from home. So see, I attracted a group of people that said, look, I don't have any time. I can carve out $100 a month, and I definitely don't want to talk to anybody because I'm not good at sales, or I may have failed in the past. So when I did that postcard ad, I got everybody that said, yeah, send me your secret. You know, and so then I'd send them the form, and what we did is exactly what you were talking about. We would get them on auto ship for the program. We'd get them on auto ship for postcards, and then we mailed out the postcards for them because we knew they weren't going to do it. Because what we did is we mailed, like I would mail you 100 postcards with the labels, and then you had to put the labels on, put the stamp on. 1 out of 10 would do that. Yeah. So we said, look, we got to use other people's money to build their dream while they're not in the belief level that I am. So that's where, you know, you make a lot of money with a lot of people doing a little bit. So I would look at my downline reports and I go, nobody's doing anything. Right. I got 100 people in my group, and I sponsored 20 last month, and one other guy sponsored one person. And so I would call these people, and they go, yeah, you know, I've just been busy. And I go, look, I need a credit card from you for $50. We're doing a co-op this month, and I'll mail the postcards for you. And they go, oh, thank goodness, because we were thinking about quitting. Thanks for helping us. And so, see, that's the mentality of getting people who are busy, who don't have any belief in themselves yet, and they don't have any prior experience. I mean, the one thing that Amway does well is they have this tape of their CD of the week deal. It's that drive time, and I'm telling you, I got 5,000 MP3s on my computer I've never listened to. Okay, I've downloaded everybody's stuff, and I start about 3 minutes, and one of my kids come in and goes, Dad, the DVD player's stuck. Dad, you know, so-and-so dropped the milk. So I go over there, and 5 hours later, I go, oh, yeah, I was going to listen to that. Well, I'll do that tomorrow. Right. But I know one thing I'm doing. I'm always in the car, going to the grocery store, going to the post office, driving to pick up my kids, going an hour away to a soccer game on a Saturday, and I am plugging in these CDs. That drive time, I'll tell you, the reason why Amway's working and kicking all of our butts is because they have a workforce, a sales force of people that they're building their belief systems in them. Okay, that they're building up their workforce. You know, and I think I find that some people make comments like more marketing's dead. And I go, look, they got 3 million reps plugged in, driving around, getting this. There's no way they'd quit. And so if a company today would send a CD in the auto ship that was motivational, that was training, some Jim Rohn stuff, some Zig Ziglar stuff, a leader on a conference call talking about a testimonial, whatever, then I'm sitting there at the stoplight thinking about, I hope my auto ship didn't come out today because I'm going to be overdrafted. But they're listening to a CD go, but you know what? I got to stay in this thing. That's the glue that holds the organization together that so few people do today.
Well, and I think when you see online communities out there now, there's just a handful of them, if that, that are really creating a movement on the internet.
Yes.
A big focus of the information that they give is all mindset related.
That's right.
It's all building. It's building that culture. It's working on people's subconscious minds, whether they know it's happening or not.
Yeah.
And it's digging into their heads to get them to take action. That's really, to me, what mindset's all about. It's just being able to take action and putting that, and we can do a whole hangout on the subconscious mind, because I know that you're definitely have been involved and tapped into that for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's another golden nugget for somebody who, reps that I see that do phenomenal not only are tapped into personal development. Darren says this. He says MLM is nothing more than personal development in disguise, and I think that is the case. But guys who are tapped in and they're getting their people tapped in to this information and really putting them into this positive mindset. I was in sales for 10 years. I mean, this is what we did on a regular basis, right? Because it got us up, it got us out there, it got us moving, it got us talking to people, it got us out of our comfort zone. And you're 100% right. And I think that is so important. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because for me, that, if I had to say anything, I would say mindset and really shifting my belief system and really focusing on, I do visualization now. I do a number of different things, but that has really dramatically, completely changed my business.
Right.
100%. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is?
It's really important. And one thing that I did is, because part of my challenge with network marketing is I'd go to this convention and meeting, and it was a bunch of rah-rah, which I have no problem with, because when I go to a ball game, I'm yelling and screaming and rooting and hollering. And so I kind of was attracted to that. Wow, you can make money, be in business, and have fun at the same time. But there was no meat to it on most of it. And it was like, I'd go away to the convention, and I'd look around, and I'd go, did you find out how he did it? How did he do it? What did he say? All these acts. I mean, come on. I mean, is this it? Is it over? I didn't learn anything. I wasted $100 on this crap.
Right.
And so I'd get frustrated. And so what I decided to do for me is, at the time that I got into network marketing big time, I was making $10 an hour for a printing press, like I talked about. That was $400 a week. That's $1,600 a month. So I just backed into it. I went to my sponsor and I said, look, I need to make $1,600 a month. Because see, my mindset right then was, it takes $1,600 a month for me to crack the nut at my apartment.
Yes.
What if I was making $1,600 a month and I was home all day? I could go play golf. I could sleep in, and then I could tear this thing up. And so to me, Eric, what was great for me is I had a $1,600 dream. That was my dream, because see, what was more important to me than the money at the time was my time.
Exactly.
I was down at the plant 10 hours a day. I hated that place because I went there when it was dark, and when I walked out of the building, it was dark. And I said to myself, is this going to be it for me, that I just live for the weekends? And I sleep in on the weekends, and then Sunday night I get this pit in my stomach. Oh, my God. It was like a prison. So when I backed in, okay, what's it going to take to make $1,600 a month? So he backed into it. He goes, okay, well, you're going to earn an average about 5% of per sales. He goes, so if you've got $32,000 in sales, you're times 5%, then you're going to make $1,600. I said, okay, so what does it take to get $32,000 in sales? He goes, well, at $100, you need 320 people. I said, okay, so if I get 320 people in my group buying $100 a month, I can quit my job. He goes, yes. I was out of there. So then my focus on the board, I got a whiteboard behind me here, and everywhere was the number 320. 320, 320. So I didn't care what you said to me. Look, if you're not going to be one of the 320, then get off the phone. Get out of my way.
Right.
Now, I wasn't mean to people, but that was my mindset.
Right.
You weren't part of the solution. You were keeping me from getting to the 320. So if you have that mindset, so then I took all the fluff, all the dream building with a number that was tangible.
Yes.
And so then I said this, okay, what if it took me 2 years to find 320 people? So I started backing that up. It's like 15 people a month. Okay, that's less than one a day. So see, and then I didn't have to do all that. I could teach my team. So I then got this formula that I got, like with you, and I go, Eric, look, I don't mean to be personal, but are you interested in making money? Yes. Would you mind telling me how much money it's going to take for you to quit your job so we can get together a formula for you? So I said, man, if I could find other guys that just had that number and plan it in their head, 320, 320, 320. Look at my download report, 70. Crap, I got to go back to work. 320, 320, 320. Then the next month it's at 60. I go, man, what am I doing wrong? Let me get my sponsor. I lost 10 people last month, and I worked my butt off. So it just became this goal.
Yeah.
320 equaled my freedom. And it wasn't $100,000 a month. It was $1,600 a month made me free. So it's just that simple. When you get people that can focus, here, I'm looking for someone that wants to quit their job. Bingo, there you are. And then I get them to mail those letters, expose to people, co-op in the national co-ops, get leads, whatever. Then I got somebody. And that is the whole key. It's finding and developing leadership, and that's how I do it.
Well, and that's, I always say this, I mean, and you might be the same way with your organization or organizations that you build. I mean, typically, there's a handful of people that are really driving that growth. And while I've got you on this subject, let's talk, because I think this is another thing that people really miss is and one of the things that I used to do that hurt me is recruit, and focus on that, and I didn't build, and I didn't put things in place. I said my thought process when I first came in was, hey, I have to go out and recruit. That's how I make money. And I didn't really understand the dynamics of building an organization or anything like that, and developing leaders and working closely. I just said, hey, some guy will come in like me and he'll do what I'm doing.
Right.
But talk a little bit about how important that is, because I think what you did and what's really driven your success is not only have you dialed in and found those leaders and helped develop those leaders, but you've also put marketing and systems and things in place.
Right. Like
you said earlier, and I love this line, allow other people to give you money so we can make them money, or something to that effect. Right. And that's thinking at another level. That's when you're starting to get into that $10,000 a month or more in the industry, 6 figures plus, is you have to be an individual that can build leaders, but also I think either look for either third party or create situations yourself that can help your organization grow and thrive on things that quite honestly they either don't have time to do or they don't know how to do.
Right.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
Sure. And I'll use a real world example. When I was single, my best friend Mike and I, we would go out, and we both were kind of broke at this time. This is in my college days. And what we would do, we would say, look, who's going to pay tonight? And I said, look, if you go get the telephone numbers of 10 girls in this bar tonight, I'll buy your dinner. So our focus was, okay, so I would look around, and we'd be running around the bar the whole night. Sometimes we'd stay there 6 hours, to get the numbers. And I'd go over and go, hey, look, if you just give me your number, I won't bother you. I'm trying to win this bet with my friends. We'll buy me a steak dinner. And she'll go, well, I'll give you my number if you buy me a drink. I go, sure. So it would end up costing me more money, but I wanted to win. I wanted to tell my friend, here they are. So we didn't care about the no's at that time. So again, that's another mindset. But the point is, when I get people in now today, I send them a little training manual, and in it are two very important things. This is how I determine who I'm going to work with this month. And my time is limited, like your time is limited. So I have a sheet that says, what are your top 3 reasons why? So like mine, number 1 is to be my own boss. Number 2 is to spend time with my family. And number 3 is to live to 100 healthy. I don't want to be in a nursing home at 80. And I told my kids, if I'm in a wheelchair, just feel free to take me out to Mount Everest and just wheel me off. I'm not going to die in a nursing home. I don't want. So I'm taking nutrition. I go to the gym almost every day, trying to watch what I eat. So I would tell you, Eric, hey, look, I know you're excited. Look, I need you to do 2 more things. I'm going to send you this training manual. I need you to read it. I need your top 3 reasons why. And there's also a goal sheet in there. And what I have in that goal sheet is like the first pin level, the second pin level, and a third and a fourth one. But I usually try to keep it to 3. So it's short term, mid-term, and long-term. So the first one is to get you to break even. The next one is to get you $1,000 a month. The next one to get you 5 or 10. So when I get the top 3 reasons why sheet and the goal sheet from you, what do I know now? I know you're me. I know you're ready to go to work, and I need your name list, and let's go for it. Now, if I've got 10 new people I put in this month, and 2 people send that back to me, what do I know? Those other 8, they're not ready right now. No. That's okay. They're marinating. They're in the fridge, getting ready to go on the grill maybe tomorrow night. Okay? But those that are marinated, they're pre-marinated. Take them out of the package, throw them on the hot grill, let's go. Those people on fire. So I don't push people. I don't prejudge them. I let them tell me when they're ready. And every month, at the first of the month, I'll go, okay, I'm looking for some more people. Here's the goal sheet. Here's the top 3 reasons why. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, fill this stuff out, and I'll call you, and we'll go to work. And so at the first of the month, I'm turning that dirt over again. I know they've had a couple of paydays again. I know that they've been overdrafted during the month. I know they wanted to go to the movie and they couldn't. I know that they had something happen. The tire got flat or something. They had to spend money they didn't have. So those are the ways that I'm able to work and get people started with that mindset.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, so what are we? We're coming on about 45 minutes, man. I've already gotten like so many golden nuggets. I know anybody watching this is just I know they're thrilled with the information shared so far. What do I want to tackle next? Let's talk a little bit about online. And I know that you'd come out with the MLM Mile, and you started doing some video, and I loved it, man. The content was fantastic. I think Eric Worre kind of came out. You may have started that after. I know you guys are buddies and all that sort of stuff, or you guys know each other and all that. But I think he really came out and exploded. Leveraging video and using social media because he was really A, giving value, not pitching, but B, really using the fundamentals that we've talked about for the last 45 minutes and engaging with people within social media. So how do you see social media as been a benefit to you, and where do you see a lot of people making huge mistakes within the social media platforms?
Again, how we communicate with each other is ever evolving, and it's changing, and it's probably going to be like Johnny Mnemonic, that movie, where we're going to be able to see the Facebook in our eye, and we blink, and we'll be able to answer someone. I mean, technology is just going to continue to be technology.
Right.
I think I Googled the other day how many Americans do not have an email, and I think it's like 17% of Americans still don't have an email or computer at home. So there is a group of people that have been left behind with technology, and they can still go build businesses. But social media, I think, has changed everything. It's allowed us to, it's almost like, if you're watching a reality show, and I watch the one with Gene Simmons. We watch that one all the time. We watch some, I was in business with Bruce Jenner. He was in a network marketing company years ago. So I watched some of the Kardashians just so I could get glimpses of Bruce, So it is that emperor has no clothes. The social media is opening it up and peeling back the onion and saying, here's where the real meat is. The challenge and the problem with that for me personally was I got lazy. Immediately when I started doing it, I got hundreds of leads. Hundreds of leaders came in, and my check started going up, and my work ethic went way down. Because then I go, I've arrived. All I got to do is shoot another couple of videos, get some more leaders, and someone would call me, and I wouldn't follow up with a phone call. They'd email me, hey, Robert, I got a question about the comp plan. I wouldn't email them back. Okay, so that was my mistake, that I became fat and lazy. I became where I wasn't humble anymore. Not that I was out being gregarious or bad about it. I just went, oh, I was exhausted, and I go, finally, a break. But then I found out within that vacation, it's like we all do at vacation. We go on a vacation, and that last few days, and we come back, and as soon as we get home, we go, man, I'm glad to be home. Okay, so social media to me was a vacation, and I had to regroup. And I think where most people are doing it wrong, like for instance, I have a website set up that I send people to, I capture their mailing address. I only get about 100 visitors a month because of that. And for those of you who do online marketing, the best way to get the most opt-ins is just put an email address. Right. Don't ask for their name, phone number, just give email, and then you start emailing those people. And that works, and I've got a site that does that. But my challenge for that was I couldn't mail you anything. I couldn't pick up the phone and call you. I may have your email, but I know you don't read email because I don't. So I convert about 48% of the people, or 48 people a month on average, out of those 100 visitors. So to me, It was like, I'm going to do quality instead of quantity. And social media to me seems to be this real quantity-based thing that we're just going to encompass everybody and everything, and it's a big net. And then that net comes down, and what do you got? You're throwing a lot of people out, or you're competing with a lot of people. It was like when search engine, SEO came out, and I did it, and my name was up there, then my name started getting pushed down on the right-hand side, and I go, well, and so I started clicking, who was beating me out? It was my upline. And I go, well, now I'm competing with my upline for traffic. And so I had to set myself apart. So I think what most people do wrong with social media today is they think that is a replacement for what you and I are doing today. Now, I can be on a small level, but ultimately we all long to engage. We all long to be part of a team. I'm my own boss. I don't have a boss above me, but I network with people all day long because I like people. I learn from people. I have that learning where I want to, hey, what are you doing? How'd you do that? I saw your name on the leaderboard. How'd you do that? And I think most people today are trying to use, I think that the attitude in America is this. I want to work a couple hours a week. I want to make a few $1,000s a month for my computer, and I never want to talk to anybody. Well, okay, you can do that. I mean, you can do that if you become very sharp about what you do. But ultimately today, what's different today than ever before is before there was one way to do it. Make your list, invite them to the meeting, let the leader who knows how to do it show it, and you sit there and you don't say anything until the meeting's over and say, what'd you like best about it? Are you ready to get started? And that was the old school, traditional, here we go, arm in arm. Well, we've branched out. So now because of that, there's no police on the internet. Anybody can make any video and say anything about anybody, like all these scam boards. I mean, all of this stuff. There's no credibility and there's no accountability. So I think the real challenge today is for people to have the proper expectations and learn how to back into the numbers. Okay, if you're going to do social media and you're going to get people to generate leads off of it, how are you doing that? What's your funnel? And I know there's a lot of people that just use their Facebook page for just personal and they have a fan page for business. Well, to me, I do both on it because that's who I am. My Facebook page is me. You get my family, you get my business, you get my steak recipes because that's who I am. So but that's who I do. So that's how I feel comfortable about it. So, but I think number one, the real answer is proper expectations for social media. Just because you got a blog, just because you're on Facebook, just because you post a link, doesn't mean you're going to make any money doing it. Because you have to get people to go take action and duplicate with their strength. You know, duplication sometimes is a 4-letter word. You know, people think, oh, well, you know, because I'm going to have a talent somewhere like in direct mail that you don't. So it's okay to be unduplicatable as long as you are able to teach all of these different methods. And I think that's what most people are missing today, Eric, is they're not realizing that now we're teaching a lot of different subjects in the same arena. It's not just call your family and friends. It's 50 ways to build your business. You know, there really is.
Yeah, you know, it's the average person builds our businesses, and the average person, if I sat down and said, okay, you've got to learn search engine optimization, you need to learn social media marketing, you need to learn the art of branding, you need to learn my story marketing, we need to get you up to date on solo ads, we need to talk about Facebook, pay-per-click. I mean, the person would literally be their head completely blown off, and what's happening is, and I find this interesting, there are a lot of guys out there right now, unless there's a small percentage, unless you just want to get into affiliate marketing, you're a hardcore behind the scenes, you're going to spend years figuring out how traffic works, figuring out how all these pillars of marketing works online to be able to drive the amount of traffic you need to make this big income. Unless that is your mindset and you understand that it's going to be a long, hard road to get there. Even guys now that are making big, big money who are part of affiliate marketing programs, they didn't get there by not being on the phone and building networks.
Right.
You know, I won't name the individual, but you know, yes, with one of the programs we talk about, you know, being able to not be on the phone and all that sort of thing. But the reality is that that entire thing spawned from an individual who spent years in malls, on the phone, you know, building a network, and then being in a position where understanding how the internet works, understanding how to build a culture on the internet, and then using his network and being able to get to high-end leaders who trusted him and his vision and that sort of thing, allowed him to be in a position where, yes, it's autopilot sales and all that sort of thing. But I tell people, look, you are leaving so much money on the table by not engaging with people. It's the same way with Facebook. I teach a Facebook marketing formula, and people say, well, what, do you have some sort of automated tool? Yeah, all that's out there, but this is how I close sales on Facebook all the time, is I have a series of questions for baby boomers, for at-home moms, for the unemployed, and all this stuff. And this is I didn't create that information. I bought a course, and then I sort of tweak things and all that to sort of fit me. But I engage people and I ask them questions. You know, if they like my post, if they comment on my post, if I'm in the middle of a thread and I see someone and I say, I message them and say, hey, I really like the point you made on this particular post, and I just start a conversation like I would in the street or anywhere else, but I don't pitch. My goal is not to get them in my business. My goal is my goal in my mind, just like you said, my subconscious, like, I'm going to get this person to answer 7 questions. That's all I want to do, is get them to answer 7 questions. And that's all I focus on, is I got to get them to answer the 7th question. And then by that point, they've engaged, they trust you, you've built a relationship through this mechanism and asking these questions. And then I know pretty much at that point, based on the questions I'm asking them, if it's an individual that potentially is a business partner, or if it's just somebody I say, hey, it's been awesome talking to you, take care, but what does that person now do? They go, okay, man, nobody's ever really engaged me like that in social media. This guy's pretty cool. I'm going to start watching his posts now.
Right.
I'm going to start seeing what this guy's up to. And now, through my posts and through my marketing on Facebook, I'm exposing them. I'm hitting them with that 7 to 15, 15 exposures. And I have so many people that I have those conversations with daily that come back to me a month down the road, 2 months, 3, 4 months, and say, you know what, man, I know I've seen you marketing that forever, and you know what, I think it's time. I'd really like to learn more about it. But
that's right.
People just don't. They don't get that, man, and that's why I was talking to Lisa Grossman, and she's speaking at I think she's speaking at I can't think of a social media event, marketing event coming up, but they asked her to be a speaker, and she was laughing because she said they have me listed as a social media expert. She's like, I have my Facebook, but I don't even have a Twitter or anything set up. And I said, you know why you're a social media expert and already classified, and they would do the same thing with you, Robert, is because you understand the fundamentals of networking, and that's how you use social media.
Right.
And you've built, all these relationships through social media because you're doing it the right way. So automatically, these people are looking at you because everyone's talking, you know what I mean? And you're all of a sudden a social media expert. I tell all these offline networkers that I know, I say, do you realize how quickly you could make an impact in social media just
Sure.
because of the way, just because of how you know to engage people, conversate with people, build relationships. Because most of these guys out here that are coming on have never really been taught that. They're just, you know what I mean? So there's a
Yes,
huge
exactly.
advantage. And like you said, you came on, you got lazy because you were like, man, everybody's hey,
Yeah, I wasn't
Robert, what are you
working.
doing? What are you doing? So I think there's a big disconnect there, though. I don't think a lot of the fundamentals are being taught
Right.
because obviously people are selling information. People make a lot of money selling the picks and
Sure.
shovels. So,
Sure.
but would you agree that is really? It just seems like, I mean, all someone has to do is just be a professional inviter, and they
Yeah.
can make a lot of money in this industry. They don't
Well,
have to be
yeah.
the guy on stage. They don't have to be the presenter. They don't have to be any of that. They can just use the tools and invite people to look at that information and follow up, just that simple pattern, and do
Yes.
it consistently. And they're probably going to have success in the industry.
Well, I remember in the late '90s when I was doing more marketing and we were doing a lot of home plans, and I had a little 2x3 whiteboard on the stand and magic markers, and I was the whiteboard. So we were doing the whole goal was to do 5 or 7 plans a week. In addition to the hotel, what we did is we did hotel meetings the last Saturday of every month. So everyone had the whole month to invite people. Hey, we got a meeting on the 28th. Can you come? I need to book you in. So, if you invited 20, 10 would show up, and out of the 10 that would show up, 5 would join. So after a year of keeping all this data, I realized that in meetings, I would close 50% of the prospects. So my bright idea was, why don't we record one of these meetings I do in my home and put it up on the internet? So then I can stop doing home meetings. So I put it up on the internet. I sent everybody I knew to this website. Nobody joined. Not one single person. And so that's when I learned the dynamic of meeting someone in person and the difference. It's because I thought what I thought that time, what I wanted to happen is I wanted the dynamic of that meeting to be on the screen. So it would be going 24/7, showing presentations 24/7 without ever having to talk to anybody because I was burned out. I was working my butt off, making a couple of grand a month. And so, but I learned an important lesson there is that is the difference. 50% in person, 0 online with no follow-up. And so now I learned the combination. So I'm closing right now 10 to 20% of the people that will come in and watch a video for a follow-up. One of my sites is 48%, but it's got a low $10 30-day trial deal. So that's really not a traditional networking approach. But for those that want to come in, they watch the video, that's why you have to do a combination online. But I experienced that, and I know the dynamic of doing meetings. They work. You got a high closing rate, but most people don't want to work them because it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's really converging the off and online. I mean, the people that are really making that happen right now are exploding. And the great thing about offline now is that's all marketing content for online. So you
Yes.
can take those meetings and you can, while you're there, do videos and do testimonials and all the things that you need to do. You can live broadcast those videos. I remember with my primary program, we were just out in Hawaii, and one of the things that they're doing is we said, look, why don't you leverage Google Hangouts? And now they're doing these Google Hangouts socials where the CEO is coming on. He's basically doing the 30-minute presentation, 45-minute, and everyone is bringing people to their homes as in a social environment, and they're flipping up the computer, and there is the CEO live.
Yeah.
Which is great that they're listening to what we're saying.
Yes.
From an online perspective of what will work. But the two really marry up together, and that's why I love going. And that's the other thing, events. If you're not going to events on a regular basis, you're probably not full time or having great success in this industry. I mean, people that are at the events, I mean, that's where the golden nuggets, that's where the relationships are, that's where you build the belief, the whole 9 yards. Talk a little bit about, because we've got some events coming up. I know I've got some people on my team that will be watching this. How important is it to, in this industry, to be at those events and be fully all in and engaged in whatever program or company that you're dialed in with?
Well, the way I look at it is just recharging your batteries, Eric. And and to me, I fought it because I go, I'm going to hear all that hype. I see the list of speakers, and I go, I've already heard him. How can he possibly deliver any more value than his silly little story I've heard? Because then, I'm becoming where I'm fighting my growth. And we all do that. I didn't want to personally grow. I wanted to make the money now without changing as a person. Now, I think you can come into the business, you can make money without changing in the beginning by the simple exposure. But as you want to grow your income, you have to grow personally. And I didn't want to take the time to do that. I felt I was okay right now. Why can't I be successful just the way I am? Why do I have to read books? Why do I have to listen to CDs in the car? Why do I need to go to these darn conventions and hear the same doggone people and his wife come up and their same rag to riches story? Oh my God, I'm going to get sick. Yeah. And so for me, I didn't really need that. But what I found out for me is going out on my own, I ran out of gas. I ran out of juice. And by getting around everyone that was in a suit and tie, or they were in shorts and a Bahamas T-shirt, and I go, that guy's making $10,000 a month. Well, how did he do that? And so to me, it was like getting around people that were like-minded. Yeah. And because the people that were in my day-to-day world, they weren't like-minded at all. I was hunting for them. I was hunting for me. So to me, it was like, I'm going to go recharge my batteries. And I'm going to let everybody lift me back up. That old saying that a rising tide raises all ships. And so I finally relinquished, and I said, you know what? Everyone that's going to be at that convention is going to be positive. I may not agree with all of them, and I may think some of it's phony, and I may have heard some of it before. But you know what? When that tide rises, I don't care what you say, and your boat's in it, your boat's going to go up too. And so I realized personally, for me to break through, have a breakthrough, I had to change. I had to soften my heart. I had to learn how to like people. I had to learn how to deal with disappointment. I had to learn how to juggle my family time with my business time, where my wife said, look, all we see is the back of your head. Can you please come in and watch TV with us? You're always on. You answer the phone during dinner. You answer it at midnight in bed. What's wrong with you? Are we not that important? So I had to learn how to juggle. I learned how to, professionally tell my wife, here's the nights I'm going to work. Here's our date night. Here's family night. So I had to evolve, and I didn't want to. I fought that. So the idea about conventions is nothing more than this. That tide is going to rise with you or without you. And if you want your boat to rise, you want to get to the next level, you just got to be in the bay. Just get your butt there and just sit there negative. Like I'd be like this. Yeah, come on, tell me something I don't already know. Yeah, motivate me. Yeah, if someone lower the prices, maybe I could sell them. If you change the comp plan, maybe I'd make some money. And so that was me. I was that guy. And so, and I found myself while I was here looking around going, well, I'm being lifted up off the chair. I'm being inspired. I'm seeing people's lives being changed by the products, by the money. I'm seeing people that I feel are less talented than me kicking my butt, happier than me, traveling. And so that's where I realized, I go, the problem isn't the company. The problem is Robert Blackman. And until I change my attitude, I've reached my limit that I'm going to make being the way I am. And so that was where I opened up my mind, and I said, I'm going to every convention now because it's recharging my batteries, it's raising my boat.
I think the key word in that you said was relinquish, and I think in this journey we have to relinquish a lot, and we think it's kind of like a video game, in my opinion. You think you've mastered a level, and there's so many more levels, and then you realize, like, holy crap, like I've got 30 more levels to go through here. And the only way to kind of kick off and start the new level of the game is to relinquish and say, okay, well, maybe I'm not doing this right. And it encompasses everything. You hit the nail on the head. It encompasses the way that you deal with the family. I mean, all of these things I think are universal with anyone kind of heading toward that road to El Dorado, as you say.
Right,
and I love that. So it's real important to sort of understand that. And I think that I think this has been fantastic. To close out the hangout, I'd really like for you to, we work hard because, as you said, your wife used to say, we only see the back of your head, and and even my kids, I have to be very, they're like, Dad, look, okay, quit checking your Facebook on your phone, Dad. I'm out, they're riding bikes and they just want to hang out, so I have to always be cognizant of that stuff. But we do work hard because we love this, we're passionate. I don't think you ever get to any other level if you're not passionate and love what you do. But talk about how cool it is, because you've been in the industry 32 years. For me, it is the time, man. It is like, you think it's whatever. It's nice to make good money or have a big month in the industry or whatever it is. all those things are cool to get recognition and yada yada yada. But for me, the coolest part of being full time in the industry is knowing, like, after this Google Hangout's over, if I want to, I can shut this computer down and kids are at school and all that stuff, but I could drive up 2 miles up the road and I could just sit and casually watch one of the new movies that's out,
Right.
and not have to fight a crowd or not anything. And to me, those sorts of things are priceless. Just having, not that I do that because I'm always working, but
Sure.
just knowing that I can just basically drop shop. If my kids have something going on at the school, if I volunteer there all the time, it's just all this stuff that you begin to understand how precious time is when you actually are in control of your own calendar and you have that. And I think that, to me, is the coolest part of this whole deal.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, I mean, how about for you? You've been doing this thing for 32 years. I know you've had plenty of ups and downs, but your family's there, the kids have a snow day, and you can just, I mean, you can walk out and hang out with your fam and do whatever you want anytime you want to do it. And that's it's a great place to be.
Well, it is, and I think that part of the challenge to get where I am today for most people is that, to me, time is not replaceable, but money is. And so, but we all want that money so we can go replace the time. And your first couple of years in this profession, you're going to have less time than you've ever had in your life, and you're going to have less money than you've ever had in your life, and you're going to go, holy cow, what's going on? There's always a dang webinar, there's a call, there's somebody pulling at me. So you have to really become a master at this. And this is what I said to myself. I said, look, I want to go to another level, but my kids don't care what I do for a living. They want to see me right here looking at them and helping them with their homework, watching Shrek for the 14th time this week, playing catch for 5 minutes and going to get an ice cream cone. They just want me. So I said this. I found myself taking time away from my family to do my business, and then I was just reading emails, or I was jerking around. I was escaping. I was procrastinating, and I was costing time with my family. So I said this, look, if I'm going to be a real man, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend time with my family at those allotted times, and I'm going to work longer in the evening, and I'm going to get my butt up at 5 a.m. Answer those damn emails from 5 to 6 a.m. and get them out of the way. Boom. Stop checking my email every 5 minutes. Alex Mondosian taught me that years ago at one of his webinars and conferences. He said, look, he checks his email for from 10 to 11 in the morning, and then 3 or 5 or 4, just a couple of times a day. He goes, because it's a time sucker. Mm-hmm. He goes, so I do that. So number one for me, what I want everyone to know is that the first year or two, you're going to have less time than you've ever had, and that's why you're trying to do this business, to get more time. So you're going to get frustrated. Number two, you want more money, but you're going to spend $100, $200, $500 a month, and your wife or your husband's going to be looking at you going, where's all this time freedom? Where's all this money? So see, it takes a commitment. So and then that means you got to stay up later, you got to travel some weekends, you got to miss some ball games, you got to get up earlier. So that's where that mindset of that 320, that number I came up with earlier, what was I willing to do to get to 320 members? And part of it was I was going to do conference calls from 9 o'clock till midnight every night, based on 3 different time zones, because my kids were in bed by 9 o'clock. So this was before the internet and webinars got big. So I was on the phone all night long. That was my choice to do that. And because I did that for a couple of years, Eric, then it came to where now, if my kids, like today's a snow day, they go, hey, let's go out and sled. Great. Well, I haven't checked my email yet. Well, that's okay. I'll check it when I get back. Hey, I got 3 new customers that came in today. I mean, I've seen them pop out here on the other screen over here. I've had 3 people come in. Well, normally, I'd be getting on them. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Did you get And so I go, hey, I'm doing this thing with Eric. I'm going to go out with the kids. So maybe at 4 or 5 today. So you get to choose your own time of when you do it. But see, it's hard to get there because you are your own boss. And most of us, if we work for someone else, we're told when to get to work, what we can and can't do. And if you're married, you got a boss, your wife, your guy. She tells you what to do all the time, the honey-do list. So it's very hard for us to wake up and look around and go, well, nobody's here to tell me what to do. What do I do? I've never done this before. So that's why it's important to go get these mentors, go to these hangouts like we've got here, but go to conventions so you can learn how to be your own boss. And that's what very few people teach people to do today, Eric, is that You know, it's like what I've given you here. Look, get up an hour early. If you get up at 6 every morning, get up at 5 and read your darn email, and don't read it again the rest of the day. Make presentations. Do three-way calls to your team or whatever you want to do. Set up a website. But you have to start putting a compartmentalize on your time, because your time is not replaceable. If you want to replace your income, you've got to learn how to utilize your time now so you'll have the time later. And most people don't do it because they have no time, they have no money, and they're not making a check, nothing's happening, no one's helping them, and they get out. And then once they pay their credit card off, and 6 months later they join the next hot deal. And they go through the same process again, they max out their credit card, they quit, they're frustrated. Network marketing's not for me. Internet marketing's not for me.
Yeah.
And then it's a cycle. And they get it's like being divorced and not wanting to go back and get remarried again, to start dating again. You know, you're just scorned, you're burned out. So you have to understand the process that your goal is get a number. Mine was 320 and I'm free. So I'm going to do everything I can, every pocket of time. I'm going to go find a way to get to that 320. Without that number for me, Eric, then I would never be where I am today. That number pulled me out of the doldrum of trying to pull me down into the 9 to 5. Don't break out, Robert. You don't have any time now. Why are you going to do this? All your friends are going out to have a beer and you're going home to make phone calls? Come on, man. What's wrong with you? So you had to have that number. So I think that's the real important key there.
100%. That was the anchor, and then you just basically pummeled your subconscious mind until you created that reality for yourself. And
I'll go have a beer with you after work when I get to 320. And by the way, I won't be at work. I'll come pick you up and get you a beer at noon.
Yeah, I love going to. I love one thing I'll do. We'll shut down, but I love hooking up with buddies for lunch and right when they got to get up and go back to work. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Hang out. We'll buy you some more beers. Let's chill. He's like, I got to get back to work.
Let's go play some darts, some fool's foosball. Can't do that.
It's 1 in the afternoon, Eric. What are you talking about? I'm like,
yeah.
But it is, man. It's completely worth it. It's an amazing journey. I know I have a lot more to learn, but I can tell you this, Robert. I appreciate your time. I know it's valuable, but I can tell you the information you shared with me today is going to make me thousands and thousands of dollars. I can promise you that. And I'll keep you up to date because I definitely want to implement some of the personal mailings and things like that, and start testing that. So I'll keep you up to date on that. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Robert Blackman. Man, it's just great to have ambassadors out here like you, telling it like it is and helping all of us get to another level in our business. So thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you too, Eric.
All right, Ash, you can go ahead and shut down.